Let's talk about some other news from this week. We saw another article from Forbes saying that AEW is worth $2 billion. Mike Ozanian, I think is his name. And here's the quote here. His assessment included various financial aspects of AEW's business, indicating that it has been consistently generating more revenue year over year, despite some debates about its profitability. Additionally, comparisons have been made to other combat sports franchises to contextualize AEW's market value, with some analysts suggesting that if companies like Bellator are valued at around $500 million, AEW's more substantial brand presence and revenue would justifiably place at a much higher valuation. Of course, there was a valuation of Bellator that said it was 500, but I think it actually traded for under 100 in an all stock deal. I guess what I'm saying is, guys, these valuations, they can pretty much say whatever they want. It's not a real indicator of what the perceived value is. I mean, you don't have to look very far in the wrestling space to see like a company like Triller. Man, those guys have been trying to go public forever, and supposedly they were valued at billions and billions of dollars. And then, well, every time you Google them, they're being sued here or there, or not paying this bill or that bill, and they're finally going to go public. I don't know, 4 or 5 years later. I'm just saying all that to say, let's not get too caught up in the Forbes numbers. AEW's not for sale. And even if they were for sale, I don't know who would pay $2 billion. Like legitimately, like, I don't see why this was even a discussion this week. They're not for sale.
I do. And it comes back to what we were just talking about. Dave Meltzer, for the last year and a half or so, I'll be careful about what I say, because I can't pull his tweet up and go, see, here it is. I can find it if I have to, but I'd rather not spend the time. But Dave has been talking to, now he's quieted down a lot all over the last few months as AEW is getting closer and closer to the expiration of its exclusivity in terms of selling the show. But Dave, a year ago, now Tony Khan's going to triple his rights. He's going to get double his rights. He's going to be making so much money. Dave Meltzer putting over how much money Tony is going to make for when he renews. And in the basis for that is exactly what this cat, Mike Ozanian or whatever his name was, did the same thing. Well, and Dave was comparing it to other sports leagues, which is really weird because wrestling is not a sport. No matter how hard people try to convince others that it is scripted television. It's scripted live action television. It falls into its own category. Now, you could sell it as a sport, I guess, if you could get people to buy into it from an ad sales point of view. But it is scripted television. But nonetheless, Dave Meltzer, because he's an analyst and spends time reading and studying, I don't know what the fuck he reads and studies, but was making, suggestions much like he does in that headline that we looked at. He's got to get it in there. Oh, now Tony Khan's going to enjoy a significant increase in license fees based on the license fees for the NHL or any other example that Dave was giving. So he said, well, if they are worth X, therefore AEW is worth Y based on it. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's fucking clickbait. It's exactly what it is, because the writer in Forbes got to put those logos up there, right? The UFC logo, WWE logo, NFL, whatever it was. Gets to put all those sports brands up there. Great. It's fucking clickbait. You can go through anybody's financials. Give me an audited valuation, and then we'll talk. Otherwise, my house is worth $7 million.
Oh, there you go.
Conrad, it is.
No,
I
I believe
value
you.
my house at $7 million. Because right up the road from me, Bill Gates has a ranch.
Kanye West does too.
Kanye West, right down the other road. So, yeah, $7 million. That's it.
Just less than a couple months ago, or right at a couple months ago, Dave Meltzer tweeted out, Forbes was $2 billion. They literally just did that in their Khan family valuation of their sports franchises at $8.5 billion in an article that just came out I disagree with it, but that's the value they had on it. So now even Dave is saying, I don't know if that 2 million or 2 billion is accurate. But here's my thing. It's not for sale. Who cares? What does it matter? I
Well,
tend to
man,
agree with you that Tony Khan has become a heel to a certain corner of the internet wrestling community. And I feel like it's largely just misplaced. Like, who cares? I mean, people are like, well, the buildings aren't full. He's not making money. What does any of that matter? Do you enjoy the fucking product? Like, why can't we just watch the matches and say we like them or we
but
don't?
Conrad, but why do people do it? Because of Dave Meltzer and Tony Khan.
Yes. Well, Dave
they're,
Meltzer.
They're the reason. They're the answer to the question you just posed. Yes, people should just go, what the fuck? Who cares? I don't care how much money Tony Khan makes. I just want to watch this, or I'm looking forward to that in AEW. That's all the fuck should matter, right? But it doesn't, because Tony Khan himself and his cohort in this conspiracy of con artistry, they're creating it because it creates buzz, it creates interest. And I mean, I actually plan on doing this on YouTube, but this will end up on YouTube anyway. Is the tribalism that bad? I think it's childish. I think it's stupid. And I find it entertaining as fuck. But it is kind of stupid. But if that's all you got, that's the only way you're going to get people to talk about your product. Then Tony, Dave, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, don't bitch about it, because now you're looking like kind of a wimp. Whew, I almost said something else.
You almost said a P word there.
It's right on the tip of my tongue.
You can say that. I think that's okay.
No, hey, I don't want to.
Well, you're dropping the F-bombs.
Yeah, but F-bombs are like S-bombs now. Nobody cares.
Don't be a pussy, Eric. Hey, let's talk about that tribalism for a minute, and then I do want to move on. I guess we should hit some ticket numbers too, but you know what? I'll do that right now. WWE. Let's talk about some good news for a minute. I think this is and WrestleTix, I believe, even said this. This might be the most attended non-televised event in WWE history. We used to call them house shows. I guess now they're just live event, non-televised live event, whatever. What a fantastic shot of Cody there in front of a huge crowd at the O2 in London. 16,410 fans, an unbelievable number, and they're going to be continuing to set records as they continue to travel around. I mean, how crazy is this to even think about? WWE is not going to run another PLE in America until SummerSlam. Everything else is international, and it's because they're doing this huge business like this. Meanwhile, Collision and Rampage made their debut in Peoria, Illinois, in front of just over 3,000 people the night before the Dynasty pay-per-view. And I'm not trying to compare the two. I'm just saying, here's the barometer, and here's sort of the score, if you will, of where they are. And I just don't understand why that tribalism exists. Like, it's clear that there is the recognized leader in sports entertainment. And then there's AEW. But the back and forth, to me, it's like, what is the end game behind that, Eric? Like, do we want to keep hounding on AEW until it doesn't exist anymore? Do we want to keep pounding on WWE until their business falls off and they let more people go? How about just fucking watch the show and enjoy what you enjoy and put the keyboards down and let these guys try to grow their business? I just don't, it's not a comparison. Let's stop.
You sound just like me about 2.5 years ago when I cut that promo on Tony Khan after he came out and said, if Ted Turner knew 1% about professional wrestling as I do, WCW would still be in business. That was my fuck you, Tony moment. And from that moment, before I got actually aggressive about it, and I was just being honest, I came out on this show and said, Tony, shut up and wrestle. Quit punching up. You can't even see that guy's chin more or less make contact. Quit punching up. Quit comparing yourself. Quit taking shots. Quit trying to convince the audience that your product is a better product when it's not. but I was considered a hater. Tony Khan blew your phone up. Couldn't believe I said what I said. Took it personally. And I felt bad about that. And I actually tried to call Tony and apologize for making him upset, because that wasn't my intention. My message was absolutely fucking as sincere as if he were sitting in front of me, because I would have delivered it the same impassioned way. But rather than listen, I don't expect Tony Khan to listen to me. I wouldn't listen to me either if I was Tony Khan. So it's not that. But the internet wrestling community, that's what we're talking about here, the tribalism that exists and all the hostility going back and forth and the silliness of it all, actually the humor of it all. Tony Khan is creating it. Right. He has from the jump. His brand, his strategy, and I don't know that he ever articulated the strategy or wrote it down. I don't know if it was communicated, but it was clear that they wanted to create that Monday Night Wars vibe without actually being in a war. They wanted to pretend they were in a war, and they wanted to convince, more importantly, not only themselves, but they wanted to convince their audience. They wanted to galvanize the audience behind them, much like Paul Heyman did in ECW as the underdog. But that was the mistake Tony made, is he wasn't coming at the audience, the broader, the let's say 3 or 4 million active weekly wrestling viewers that are out there to be had, right? He didn't do it in a way that was going to attract that audience. He did it in a way that offended them. By saying, oh, was the product that you love, that you watch every week, well, that's the shits. What we watch is better. What we do is better. And that's okay if you're actually and this is the other part that's lost on so many people that exist on the internet and write some of the funniest shit because they're so clearly uninformed. But the difference is, yeah, take swings, call them out, tell the world you have a better product, if indeed you do, or at least you think you do. And in Tony's case, I think he does believe he does have a better product. But do it if you're face to face, if you're head to head, if you're in the ring, go ahead, square off, trade punches, see who's the last man standing. Because people like that. That's combative. It's dramatic. It's the same people. It's the same reason people watch wrestling. It's combative. It's dramatic. There's good guys. There's bad guys. That's okay. Feed into that. Play that as long as you're actually willing to compete. But don't do it like some punk on the sidelines telling a little girl sitting next to you, your girlfriend, you're in the high school parking lot, and you're 15 years old, and your little 14-year-old girlfriend sitting next to you saying, see that big bull over there? I could kick his ass. I'm better than he. I'm tougher than he. I could kick his ass. And the minute that guy turns around and looks at you, you fucking run the other way and whine about it like a little biatch.
Hey, let me ask you about that, because this just clicked for me earlier this week. I've been thinking a lot about what I said last week here on the show, and you just sort of repeated it about the whole, hey, what if he would have went the Paul E way? What if he would have went the ECW way? We're the little engine that could. We're the underdog, blah, blah, blah. Maybe the reason that was a challenge for Tony is, well, my buddy Cody used to say in wrestling, sometimes there's handsome guy heat. Maybe there's rich guy heat. Like, I had a wealthy guy I knew once who said, do you know why anybody buys their 11th Rolls Royce? And I said, no, why would anybody buy 11 Rolls Royces? And he said, because their neighbor has 10. Oh, okay. And I don't have a yacht, never going to have a yacht, but I'm friends with guys who run in those type circles, and they're always looking to trade up. And the conversation is always about, well, so-and-so got one, so I got to get a bigger, better one. It becomes, I guess, what we say in Alabama, a dick measuring contest. And on some level, the Khans had more money than the McMahons from day one. So maybe that's the reason Tony didn't want to embrace the underdog thing. I don't know if that's it. I've never been a millionaire. Never going to be a millionaire, but
I don't know. Not inside of Tony's head. Obviously, I don't know him well enough. So when I say that's not it, my perception is that wasn't it at all. Because look, if that was it, there's a way to manage that. If the way you manage it is don't come out and say, I've got more money than Vince McMahon. First of all, it's not your money. It's your daddy's money. You just got, you're the lucky, you're a member of the Lucky Sperm Club.
Oh, come on. God damn it.
It's true. He was born into wealth. It's not deniable. It's not even rude. It's not even mean.
Well, so are Shane and Stephanie. So let's just
exactly. They were born into the Lucky Sperm Club.
Okay.
So was Trump's kid. There's a lot of people that are born into it. That doesn't mean that you have to brag about it.
Lord have mercy.
What, am I wrong?
I just never imagined we'd be on this program on our 6th anniversary talking about Lucky Sperm Club, which is our new sponsor, luckyspermclub.com. Not really.
No, if we don't segue into a Blue Chew commercial right now, then neither one of us are worth a fuck.